As a dad, there's plenty of things that I try not to leave the house without, but I think there's one thing in particular that every parent should take with them every time they leave their house. That's a camera. Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I am a children's pastor and a videographer, but more importantly than that, I am a husband and a father. And when it comes to everyday items, sort of carry things as a dad, there's plenty of things that I'm always taking with me when I'm leaving the house, right? I've got diapers, I've got fruit snacks, I've got ibuprofen, maybe some toys, things like that. But no matter what, even if I leave all the rest of that stuff behind, there's always one thing that I take with me, and that's my everyday carry camera. And so this is my little Peak Design field pouch, and in here, no matter where I'm going, this comes with me with my everyday carry camera. There have just been so many times where we're out and about as a family, and there's a special moment that just starts to happen, and I pull out my camera and I capture that moment. And when I do that, I'm then able to store that moment away in our family archives and know that down the road, we'll be able to come back to that photo. We'll be able to remember that moment, remember what was happening, and just better relive that moment. And so for that reason and a few other reasons, I always have my everyday carry camera with me. And so I'm going to share with you today what my everyday carry camera is. I'll talk just briefly about that, maybe touch on this camera specifically in a different video, but I'm going to talk more so about why I take my camera with me everywhere and why I think you guys as parents should try to do the same. So the first reason why I always have a camera with me is because when I'm older, I know that I'm going to want to look back at photos and remember all the simple and special moments in my family's lives, in my kids' lives, even in my friendships. And so for that reason, I always have my camera with me at hand because these moments just happen randomly at times, right? There's those simple little moments where your daughter throws your hat on and she looks so silly but cute. And so you capture that moment. And I know that when I look back at that, I'm not only going to see this photo, but I'm going to remember what was happening in that moment. I'm going to remember her laugh and her smile and just the excitement that she got when she put on Daddy's hat. At the same time, photos are a great way of documenting all the special moments in your family's life, right? The first time that your kid walks, or after you spend 2 weeks building a play set for your kids, the first time they get to go down the slide. Like, that's a special moment, and I want to be able to remember that moment. I want to be able to remember what was happening and just kind of be able to relive those moments when I'm older. And I know that my kids right now, they're not able to really remember what's happening going on, or at least when they're older, they probably won't remember what's happening now. But when they see these photos, they get a glimpse into their childhood. When they see photos of their mom and I, they get a glimpse into our relationship. And I think to me, that's just something that's so important and so special. And that kind of leads me into reason 1.2. So still under this, I want to be able to remember those moments, but more than that, I think it also leaves behind a legacy. And what I mean by that is my grandmother just recently passed away. Absolutely amazing woman. And when she passed away, I'm starting to tear up a little bit. I miss my grandma. Okay, anyways, so my grandmother recently passed away. And when she did, we were putting together all these photo slideshows and photo boards for her funeral. And to me, that was a hard weekend when she passed away, but putting together the photos and honestly even looking through some of the old videos, like that was something that made the weekend a lot better. It made me remember my grandma, and even still, like, she passed away, I don't know, 3 months ago now, and even still, like, I find myself scrolling through these photos that we put into the slideshow or watching the video I put together of her, and it brings back not only the memories that these photos have, but it reminds me of other moments with her. I look at these photos and I can see her smile, but I then start to hear her laugh and hear her voice. And I look at the photos of her in her house and I start to smell the smell of her house, which was the most amazing smell because she made her own potpourri and hand soap and stuff like that. But that's the thing about photos. They bring back other memories, not just the memory captured in that photo. And so for me, that's super special. And I know that my kids, when they look at these photos of their great grandmother, they're not going to, smell the potpourri in her house. They're not going to hear her laughter, but they'll get to see a little bit about who she was, and why she was so important to us as a family. And that is something huge. I want my kids to be able to have a little bit of a glimpse into my grandmother's life. I want them to know her in some way. And even if that's just simply through looking at photos of her life, I want that to be the thing. And so I want that to be the thing for my life when it comes to my grandkids and my great grandkids. I want them to see and get a glimpse into who I was, who my wife was, who their parents were, all these sorts of things down the road. I want to leave a legacy for the generations that come after. And I think photos do a very good thing of that. And that's why you should have a camera with you all the time. Okay, now the second reason why I always have a camera with me is because I want to share these photos and share these moments with friends and family. We obviously live in a very social world with social media, and I think you could take that to two completely different ends of the spectrum, right? You've got the people who are posting anything and everything, and then you've got the people who are like, I'm not doing anything with social media. I want my life to be completely private, and that's your choice, whichever way you are, but I kind of hit that middle of the road, right? I'm not posting everything, but I do want to share moments in my family's life that I think are special, moments that I think other people, like my friends and family who follow us on social media, will enjoy seeing. And it makes me think back to the videos that my dad used to take of us when we were kids. He would always say to us on the camera, he would say, hey, say hi to Nanny and Nano, which were my grandparents who lived on the other end of the country to us. And I realized when I watched these videos back that my dad was probably sending these videos to my grandparents so that they could get a glimpse into what was happening in our lives, so that they could kind of feel like they were a part of our lives, even though we didn't get to see them all that often. And so I think photos have a very special way of doing that too. They allow friends and family who maybe you don't get to see all that often, but you still love and you still want to be close to. It allows them to kind of get a glimpse into your life and still be a part of your life. I love, looking at the photos and the videos that my friends who I don't get to see all that often are posting. It allows me to still feel connected to them. And so I hope that the photos I'm taking do the same thing. So the third reason why I always have my camera with me is because I want to pass something along to my kids. I obviously, as a photographer and videographer, I love photography, but really the basis of that is I love story and I love storytelling. And I think that this process of taking photos and capturing these moments, to me, it's always the idea of telling a story. And so I want to be able to pass that love of photography and storytelling onto my kids. To me, the idea of always having a camera and using it when my kids are around, it shows them what's important to me. My daughter has her own little wooden camera that she'll carry around with her occasionally, and I love that she's already seen that Dad carries a camera and that's important to him, and so she has a camera because she wants to be like Dad and carry her camera. And I mean, whether she actually, that's what she's thinking or not, that's what I'm telling myself she's thinking, and I love it. I love the idea that I'm going to get to pass something along to my kids. As they get older, I love the idea of getting them their own camera. The idea of passing my camera to them and letting them take photos and be a part of all of that fun that I love when it comes to taking photos. But I think if, down the road, my daughter decides that she doesn't actually care about photography at all, that's totally fine. No matter if she cares for photography or not, she's going to see that this is something Dad cares about, and he's passionate about, and he wants to share with me. And so to me, I think that's just even teaching her that whatever it is that you care about, whatever it is that you're passionate about, it should be something that you share with other people, and you show other people what it is that you care about. And so to me, it just seems like a life lesson sort of thing to have that with me and to kind of pass that to her. So for that reason, I always carry a camera with me. Okay, so those are the main reasons why I carry a camera with me, but let me now show you what camera I use as my everyday camera and why I use this. I won't get too much into it. I'll do a whole nother video about this camera and hopefully some other videos about different cameras that are different options. This is by no means the only option for an everyday camera, but I carry this one because it's simple, it's enjoyable for me to use, and it just kind of looks good, I think. So This is the Fujifilm X100F. I've talked about this in other videos, but this is just a very simple digital camera that is supposed to emulate film. So Fujifilm, very big film photography company. Actually, on their website, they say this is a camera to make everyday moments remarkable, and I love that, and I agree with that. It's just, to me, a very beautifully made camera. It looks so good. But it's a fun camera for me to use as well. So a few quick things about this camera that I think make it the perfect camera for me, at least, and maybe it could be one that you could look into as well, is one, you have the option to shoot everything manually or to shoot everything in auto. I love this camera. You can see up on the top, there's different dials to kind of change all the different shooting elements. You've got your shutter speed, your ISO, all of these things that are tactile and manual. Your aperture is up here. And I love that as a photographer. I love the process of having to slow down to adjust these things, the tactile function of it. To me, it allows me to kind of embrace the creativity of photography. At the same time, this camera is very good when you put it on the auto features. So you can set it on auto shutter speed and auto ISO and auto white balance and all that stuff if you just want to focus on what's happening and not have to worry about all of the different elements of photography. And to me, that's really important as well, because there are moments where I want to be creative with this, and there are moments where I just want to capture the moment. I don't want to have to worry about getting the shutter speed right. I can just trust that the camera will do that when I put it on auto. So that's a huge reason. The other reason that's really cool about this camera is that you can shoot in RAW and JPEG, which most digital cameras do that. But what's cool about the Fujifilm is that when you're shooting in RAW, it has these custom profile settings that you can create. So most cameras have built-in profiles that you can put onto your image. This camera, though, it has 7 options that you can create your own presets. So there's a preset that I like to use when I'm editing my RAW files, and I was able to kind of mimic that in camera with these profile settings. The reason why this is so cool is, again, it allows me to either be really creative or really simple, right? I can take the photos raw from this camera, put them into my computer, and edit them any way I want, or I can just have a JPEG with the preset baked in, and I send it directly to my phone and post it. To me, there's a very creative, fun element to it, but also a very simple and minimal element to it. Along with that, it's also very tiny, it's very minimal and simple, so it just flies under the radar, right? It's not like carrying around one of my big photography cameras, which I don't know where they are right now. But if I'm walking around town with one of my professional photography cameras, people look and it's not fun, it's cumbersome, but this is just simple and minimal. I can throw it around my neck in a sling, I can throw it in my bag, and it's just so simple. And then along with that, I think it just looks so beautiful. It looks so sleek and elegant, and I don't know, that's just cool to me. So again, there are plenty of other cameras that you can use, even if that means using your iPhone, which to me personally, I don't love using my iPhone, but maybe that's what you want to use, so use that. But there are other cameras out there as well that can do the job as an everyday camera. This is just the one I've picked, and I hope to do a little bit more in detailed video about this and why parents can utilize this camera without having to know a lot about photography. And I hope to look at a couple of other cameras as well that might be options for families to use. So that's it. That's all I've got for you guys. To me, when it comes to having a camera with me all the time, it just boils down to, I want to be able to capture the moments that are happening in our lives and be able to share those with the people that are important to us. And so if you've enjoyed this video, if it's given you something to think about when it comes to capturing the family moments in your life, I would love it if you like this video, subscribe if you're not already, and maybe share it with someone. So we'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.